Welcome to Everything But the Lesson Plan, the podcast that explores all things that make teaching impactful, inspiring, and let's be honest, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. I am Francesca Thompson, your host, and today's episode is all about purpose driven work in education. We're diving into how teachers can align their passion with their profession to make a real difference, but both in and out of the classroom. To help us unpack this vital topic, I am thrilled to welcome Miss Mia Masten, an executive coach and healthcare advocate with years of experience helping professionals tap into their purpose and lead fulfilling lives. Mia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Francesca. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I'm excited about our conversation. So, I want us to start off with you just telling me a little bit about your journey as a healthcare advocate and executive coach, ma'am.
Oh, well, thank you. Growing up, I wanted to be one of three things. I wanted
Mhm.
to be a doctor because I wanted people to be healthy, a politician because I wanted the world to be fair, or a motivational speaker, actually, because I wanted people to feel confident and capable.
Oh,
And also to just, feeling like I can do this.
yeah.
But while I didn't have any of those specific job titles, I've been committed and driven by those aspirations and values of health and well-being, equity and empowerment throughout my career and also personally. And in my career, I've had the pleasure of being able to do that from being in grocery stores and pharmacies to grocery and pharmacy deserts to
Wow.
improving access to innovative medicines and treatments to patients, and then becoming a certified executive coach so I could become a better team leader, mentor, and also hopefully a better, friend, sister, and just person in the community. And it's also part of my overall commitment to personal development and lifelong learning.
I love it. I mean, you have your experience is extensive, and with all of what you just said, it seems like your journey has been on a journey to you help people. You
That's
definitely help people.
that's my goal, and that's what I serve. That's what I hope to do. That's really what I really want to do.
Yeah, that's great. So as we get ready for that and prepare, as people prepare for the new year, okay, we
Mhm.
create our goals for 2025. People have these vision board parties. I want us to define purpose driven work. Let's start with like the basics. When we talk about purpose driven work that creates a spark, what does that mean to you, especially in the context of education?
Ooh, great question. Great question. Personally, when I think of a spark, I think the light that comes on in someone's face when an idea resonates or connects,
Mm-hmm.
or, seeing a student's pride in their ability, an improvement or accomplishment is a great example of the gift that educators not only get a chance to give, but also to receive.
Yeah.
But purpose-driven work is actually it's the definition of it is personal. So it's work that aligns with your values, passions, and sense of purpose or meaning. Another way of looking at it is looking at purpose-driven work is when you're in your element, not only when you're doing your best, but when you're being your best.
Being your best.
So if I were to look at in terms of, my values of equity, of health and well-being, equity and empowerment, it would be, education empowers students with information, resources, skills. It improves equity with exposure, knowledge, and rethinking possibility, and health and well-being by providing a safe space to learn everything from critical thinking and science to, in some cases, literally providing meals to some.
Mm, that's good. That really is good. So when we think about um, educators, okay, and a lot of the challenges they face, um, I'm going to definitely talk about your article because that's how I connected to you is through this article, and I'm gonna definitely put this article in the show notes. But when we think about teaching, teaching can be incredibly rewarding, but it is no secret that it is also one of the most demanding professions. Sometimes the reason teachers get into education gets lost in the sea of demands and unexpected downs throughout their journey. And your article, y'all, this article is so good. So I'm definitely going to put it in there. Make sure you read it before you make your goals. Growth is the definition of life, lessons from nature for personal transformation. And one of the paragraphs that I took from it, it said, in nature, growth is essential for survival. Trees grow stronger against the wind, deepening their roots for stability. Similarly, the human body continually regenerates cells to adapt to changing. Oh, it's something over here. I can't see it. Changing needs. Growth isn't always linear. Constraints often play a pivotal role in prompting change. Okay. So when we think about purpose driven lives, what are some of the barriers in our thinking, okay, that we can get in, that can get in the way of having a growth mindset? And something you said earlier, being your best.
Sure, sure. So four things come to mind. So one is a fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing failure as an end rather than an opportunity for learning and growth. And this can prevent us from taking risks that are aligned with our purpose.
Yeah.
As you mentioned in the article, I spoke about trees, how trees go stronger against the wind and deepen their roots. If you think about failure in another way, look at it as a terms of an opportunity for growth. Everything you had to learn from the beginning, even from as a child learning to walk, you had to stumble and fall before you had to walk. So rather
Right.
than looking at it as a failure, it's just an opportunity for growth. The second thing would be a fixed mindset. I think of a fixed mindset as kind of like, it is what it is, or resigned, don't rock the boat kind of thinking. Whether it's the situation or, once your skills and abilities, which can limit us from exploring different ways of doing things or
Yeah.
exploring new paths or learning new skills. The third one would be a short-term mindset. So prioritizing immediate gains or objectives over long-term goals or long-term growth. And then the fourth one is something that a lot of people may not recognize, and that is the barrier of not prioritizing things that re-energize or sustain you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that a lot of people who value being of service may not realize is a barrier. When you become so focused on being of service and serving others, it's possible to lose yourself,
Yeah.
which could result in boundary issues. We can lead to burnout and compromise your own energy. So, setting aside time to do the things that re-energize you and replenish you is not selfish. If you think about it too, when you're on a plane and the flight attendants, before the plane even takes off, it says, put your oxygen mask on first. So, this is another way of looking at things that re-energize you. Put your oxygen mask on first so you can be of service to others and yourself. And
Yeah.
also, you're looking at these boundaries, saying no is okay.
It is.
Because, you need to look at what re-energizes you or what depletes you, and you know what you can do. And sometimes saying no, that's not being selfish. Doing the things you need is not selfish because then you're putting your own oxygen mask on first so you can truly be of service to others and yourself.
Yeah. And I that saying no is so key, especially for new teachers. Sometimes they get sucked into the world of yes, because they're new and they're trying to just, make friends, establish relationships. And for teachers, new teachers, they get asked to do a lot of things, become coach sponsors, club sponsors, be the PTSA mentor, do tutoring after school, or sign up for this and sign up for that. And then they're stretched too thin. They're not even great at anything at that point because they're doing too many things. So I'm glad that you said that. It's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no.
Yeah. How can teachers start to overcome some of these barriers?
So teachers can start to, anyone actually can start to
Yeah.
overcome these barriers to a growth mindset and purpose-driven work by cultivating self-awareness,
Yeah.
adopting reflective practices, and embracing continuous learning. So let's start with self-awareness.
Hmm.
So self-awareness could even start with recognizing that you're feeling stuck, that, you think you're feeling kind of lethargic or resigned. When that starts happening, look at how you can reframe that thinking and change those limiting beliefs. Recognize and question fixed beliefs about abilities or circumstances, whether it's your own or your students. Don't assume just because something didn't work out in the past, it can't now.
Yeah.
And adopt a not yet mentality. Instead of viewing challenges as either insurmountable or it is what it is,
Mm.
focus on progress and potential. For example, we're not here yet, or I haven't mastered that yet. The
Yeah.
next one is reflective practices. And I have a recommendation, something that I use, and I found it very, very helpful. And it's a journaling practice. It's a 3-2-1 daily or weekly reflection journaling. So it looks at 3 wins, 2 challenges, and 1 learning. So the way to do that would be either daily or weekly. Look at 3 successes from the day or week,
Hmm.
2 obstacles or difficulties, and 1 key lesson you learned
Yeah.
about yourself, your team, or the situation. For example, one way to break down barriers, particularly if you're, feeling kind of stuck and you want to go into that next level, is to look at those 3 wins and then for a lesson learned, look and reflect on how were you specifically being in that moment.
Mm.
How did you show up? Were you being present? Were you
Hmm.
being curious? Were you using some of your skills, some of your strengths to make that win possible? And this is a way to help you determine, some of your strengths that you could bring to a similar situation, or where you might need to address some self-care, some rest, or, nourishment. And by the way, nourishment is more than just the food you eat. It's also the company you keep and other things you do that feed your soul.
Wow. Do you know that?
And
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. And then the third thing I was just going to mention would be continuous learning. And
Hmm.
I'm sure educators can, relate to that. But also when they think of continuous learning is what can you do that feeds you? So it could be learning something new that has nothing to do with work.
Yeah.
It could be, art, studying a musical instrument, a new language, seeking supportive communities. Engaging with professional learning communities can provide you with, encouragement, new perspectives, networking, and doing more of what you love and want to do more of. You could also look at it as, exercise, taking a yoga class, doing something, you haven't done, or quality time with others.
Definitely learning something new this year for me. I'm going to take I'm going to start taking pickleball classes. Have
Ooh, good for you.
you done that before?
I
Pickleball?
haven't. I haven't. My aunt just keeps on telling me I need to take pickleball. I need to take it, and I really want to. I need to find a court.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pick up Spanish again this year. I
Oh,
let
nice.
I let it slide last year, and it's like it's something I just enjoy. And it gets your mind thinking in a different direction, learning a
Yeah.
new language, and it's such a beautiful language. I really love it.
Yeah, my youngest, she's in her third year of Spanish. She's a 10th grader. So and I want her to continue because I'm like, girl, that's gonna, speak volumes when you're trying to look for a job.
Absolutely.
So, but one other thing I want to just talk about, because what you just said, everything was just amazing, is that reflective practice. It's
Mhm.
a psychologist, her name is Tasha, I hope I'm not messing up her last name, Urich. She says that only about 10 to 15% of people are truly self aware, but 95% of us think that we are. Okay. So,
Mhm.
so that 3-2-1, I think,
Yes.
key to just being to intentionally being self-reflective. And I want to ask you that 3-2-1 practice. I'm when you said that, I was thinking about we're in the new year and people are starting to get ready for their goals. Going back to that, I
Mhm.
think that we could use that 3-2-1 to reflect on last year. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's a great practice. And again, as you're reflecting on last year and as you're also visioning how you want to look into this year,
Mhm.
think about things you want to do that might be a little different, a little new, and then look back in your reflection on similar circumstances or similar
Mm.
situations and what was specific about you that you brought to those wins. And
Okay.
so how you can take those skills, to this next thing that you want to do. So it won't seem so daunting. It's more along the lines of like, you know what, I've done something like this before and I was able to do that. So yes, this might be a little different, but
Yeah.
still I've got these skills that I can bring to this.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about some solutions. What are some practical steps that educators can take to reconnect with their purpose and make their work more meaningful?
Sure. So one would be to reflect on your values, on your core values.
Yeah.
Regularly revisit why you became an educator in the first place and align your daily activities with those values.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on impact, celebrate the small wins, and recognize the positive impact you're having on students' lives every day.
Yeah.
Hone in again on what it is specifically about you and those moments of impact. Was it your being present, curious,
Mm,
patient, well rested,
yeah.
energized by exercise, or something you learned, or connecting with someone or something you love?
Mm-hmm.
Setting boundaries. We talked about that before, but protecting your time and energy by setting clear boundaries will allow you to sustain your passion and energy for teaching.
Yeah.
Being creative. So finding ways to incorporate innovative ideas and your personality to the classroom. Think about in the past, think about your favorite teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have, a favorite teacher or two, and they actually brought part of their personality into the classroom. And that just made learning that more special and that more personal.
Yeah.
And then the last one would be professional growth. Pursue opportunities to learn and grow, such as workshops, certifications, or collaborations, things that excite you.
Yeah. Great tips to start the work for sure. So when I think about just all of what we've been talking about today, it's going to take some time, be self-reflective. Just kind of I'm imagining people in a space where they're sitting down, they got the journal, and they're just really doing a deep dive of what they want their future to look like, reflecting on their past. So these are all really good things. And if you got to listen to this podcast 2 or 3 times to get it all down, that's what you're going to have to do. But I think this is some great work to, especially at the beginning of the year. So your background as a healthcare advocate is just amazing. How do you see the principles of healthcare advocacy intersecting with purpose-driven work for educators?
Think that's a great question. And I think it's actually very closely aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And that answer is really simple. I think both involve looking at things from the lens of possibility and potential,
Yeah.
and they include equity and inclusion, ensuring all individuals have access to the necessary resources and opportunities that they need to succeed. I don't think that your zip code to determine either your health outcomes
That's
or
right.
the education you receive or your success and ability in life.
Yeah.
And the next thing that health advocacy and education has had in common, and that's holistic well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So that's addressing the comprehensive needs of individuals, whether it's patients or students.
Yeah.
Treating them with respect, looking at them from the whole person, the possibility, the potential, looking at for those things. So equity and inclusion and holistic well-being definitely align with both of those.
Perfect. Perfect. And when with your journey as a healthcare advocate, I'm sure you have seen some inspiring examples of people who have embraced purpose driven work. Do you have one that you saw, like you could share with us, that you saw some really true transformation?
Absolutely. Oh gosh. And working in with patient advocates and healthcare advocacy, you get to see that every day.
Yeah.
And two come to mind, if you'll allow me. So, most patient advocates are people who have experienced a diagnosis themselves, or they're cared for someone who's experienced a diagnosis. And so many see this rather than something catastrophic in the end, but they see it as actually life affirming and
Mm.
life sustaining. So from parents who've experienced a devastating loss of a child, I actually worked with one advocate who lost two sons to a rare disease.
Wow.
And she is still just committed to ensuring that there are more clinical trials and research that's done to help find a cure for this rare disease so so other parents don't
Yeah.
have to go through that kind of loss.
Yeah.
I've also worked with people who, even up to having stage 4 cancer, continue working and being an advocate because they say not only is this work that they believe in, and even they even state they recognize that a cure may not come in time for them, but they still want to ensure that something happens for others.
Hmm.
And also by still working and doing this work, many have outlived their prognosis because they want to, and they've stated that they want to be able to see some of life's moments, whether it's a child graduating, someone getting married, or just seeing, those milestones. So it just helps them, keeps them going.
Yeah. And
So,
when I think about that, I'm like, and I think about teachers, you're, even with you and your story that you're sharing, um, people's journey defines their purpose, and that is definitely true for a lot of educators. Um, and when you were talking earlier about teachers being an example, who was your favorite teacher? My favorite teacher kind of is inspired my journey that I'm on now. And I advocate for the underdog. I advocate for my students who don't get access to things because of how their living situation, or their parents can't have they don't have the needs that and the means to provide for them. So I'm always pushing my kids, and definitely wanting them to explore the world outside of the classroom, because I think exposure is key to creating a new world for yourself, especially when you don't get to see those good examples in your current community. It's key to make sure that those kids get outside of that situation so that they can see. So that is definitely my purpose. I've been doing it for almost 20 years now, and I'm still fighting for my students and even my teachers. And that's how this podcast was birthed, because of my experience, people see it as an example, and they're always asking me a lot of questions on how I do this and how I do this. And so I created this podcast as a moment of reflection and sharing and giving and inspiring people. So thank you for your work as well.
oh gosh, well, thank you. And, what you're doing is a gift. And again, exposing
Yeah.
people, exposing yourself to new things. It just, you're right. It just takes the lens from being myopic to just wider and
Yes.
just possibility. Even if it's just going to a museum, I like to do that sometimes. And even if I've seen the same painting over and over again, you see something new.
Yeah.
Even if you could take a walk down the street and do your same walk, but really look at it from with a beginner's mind and see
Yep.
something new possibility. So the exposure is key. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And so, this has just been very inspiring. But before we wrap up, do you have any final advice for educators looking to embrace purpose driven work?
Yes, yes. So as you mentioned, we're at the beginning of the year. So two things. We're going to look back and look forward.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's look back for a second. So remember your why,
Hmm.
why you went into teaching in the first place, and identifying things within your circle of control, such as self-care, hobbies, learning something new, and changing your mindset.
Yeah.
And then visioning your future. So, where would you like to be? Why is that important to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
Hmm.
What are you doing? How are you being? So then, you've got this thing in your mind. So let's take your dream, take your vision and start actionizing it, turning it into action. So what's a step? What's a specific step that you could take towards that vision and by when? What resources do you need?
Yeah.
And how will you be held accountable for that step? So those are the things I think as we reflect and get started on this new year, look back and look forward, but take that vision forward and think about actionable steps, what you're going to need, by when, and how you're going to be held accountable.
Love it. Look back and look forward. So, one new thing I'm definitely going to do this year with my goals. I think a lot of people probably do the same thing. We write our goals and it sits somewhere, right? On a
Mhm.
somewhere on the desk, on your computer, and then you're like, oh yeah, them goals. And then at the end of the year, did I reach my goals? Um, so I actually plugged. I developing my goals for 2025. I've plugged it in my calendar for every first of the month. I am going to do a check-in. So I think you said that is definitely reflective practice and something that we must do is check in. So now I'm going to be intentional every month to look at what I've written and making sure that I am getting there. I have never done that in the past. I am one who writes goals and then I see it somewhere. I'm like, oh, let me look at them things again. Did I do this?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. So I want to really be intentional to make sure it's in my face and I am working towards it each day.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm good. And I'm doing the same thing. In fact, we all have smartphones.
Mm.
So I have a reminder every Friday morning
Yeah.
to look back. Did I achieve my goals for the week?
Oh,
And
good.
since it's this Friday, I still have one more, I have another day,
Yeah.
in my mind before the weekend to like try to get them all in. But it's like, but that's a way that I also do it
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm being reflective and staying in, keeping the momentum going.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think this is going to be the first episode for the new year. And I think it's perfect, perfect timing for sure.
Oh gosh, this is a wonderful way to kick off the new year. This is such a gift and a blessing. And I, again, want to thank you for all you're doing for students and for your fellow educators.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing today. What's next for you?
Oh gosh, what's next for me? Well, I'll be launching my website,
Oh,
alignpathway.com, and also, just continuing to learn, getting my next certification, my ICF, I'm sorry, International Coaching Federation certification. I'm working
wow.
towards finishing that, and trying to be of service in any and every way I can.
Wow. Well, thank you for being a part of everything but the lesson plan. I will definitely make sure her information is in the show notes and you can reach out to her. So just to my listeners, thank you. This has been a great conversation. Get ready for an amazing, amazing new year. Write those goals down, be reflective, check in, do some self care. All of that is important for sure. So, thank you for tuning in to everything but the lesson plan. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and share this with someone as well. Until next time, keep teaching with purpose and passion, and also keep thriving. Keep thriving, people.